As we finish reading Frankenstein, I'd like to wrap up by talking about the importance of context with the ideas expressed in the text. So essentially, I'd like to talk about how the Enlightenment era essentially impacted the ideas expressed by Mary Shelley in Frankenstein. So first of all, I'd like to talk about how Victor is the epitome of an Enlightenment thinker. He was able to use reason and logic to obtain knowledge, and he uses a very logical thinking process, such as the experiment, to obtain knowledge. And with this knowledge, he was essentially successful in creating another human being, a being who is in fact able to think for himself. And this is essentially the epitome of what an Enlightenment thinker is, and we can see this visible in Frankenstein. For example, we can see the creature who Victor created was able to discern the situations around him. He was able to know that his sufferings was caused by a lack of companionship. He was also able to use his feelings of hunger and sadness and pain to obtain food and shelter and so on. In addition to that, we can see Victor here as an Enlightenment thinker, as he was able to analyze the situation when he was creating the female creature. He did not let himself be succumbed into the desires of the creature, and he asked logical questions such as what would be the consequences of creating another creature, or for example, what if they reproduced? And he did not let himself be dictated by the creature, but instead used logic and reason to halt himself from creating another creature. In addition to that, the Enlightenment era, it's important to note that the Enlightenment era is the idea of having light into this society where people started to think more rationally and logically, as opposed to the dark era prior to that, where people were very backward in their thinking process and where they were just dictated by religious authorities. And this motive of light and darkness is surely prevalent throughout Frankenstein. We can see this in page 49, for example, when Victor found his professor, Mr. Waldman, and he said about his research, "My application was at first fluctuating and uncertain. It gained strength as I proceeded and soon became so ardent and eager that the stars often disappeared in the light of morning." This idea of the fact that Victor mentioned light and morning here is very important, as he wanted to talk about how he achieved this revelation, or this ideas exemplified by the motive of light. And also in page 118, after he saw how horrible his creature was, he said when he awoke beside a brook, "By degrees, I remember, a strong light pressed upon my nerves so that I was obliged to shut my eyes. Darkness then came over and troubled me, but hardly had I felt this when, opening my eyes, I now suppose the light poured upon me again." This idea of light and darkness is very important, as it exemplifies the Enlightenment era, where it was an enlightened era that came out of darkness. And also it's important in Frankenstein, as Victor brought light when he created the creature, but he also created darkness, ironically, into his life when the creature, in fact, started to murder his beloved ones. So in conclusion, the ideas exemplified in Frankenstein came out of the context of the time, namely the Enlightenment era. And that's it for on my blog this week. Thank you.